Hello, welcome to Style History, a video series from the Mark of a Gentleman blog that seeks to explain the odd and sometimes chilling origins of the most gentlemanly fashions. Last video in this series we covered the shirt collar, and today we tackle the necktie. Now, in order to get a more accurate account of the history of the necktie, I've invited my chief correspondent here at the Mark of a Gentleman, Mwenzi. Now, Mwenzi has recently gotten his doctorate from Cornell University on men's fashion history, and today we'd like to talk with him just a little bit about the very interesting story behind the men's necktie. So if you'll kindly begin, we'll go ahead and start the video. I'm sorry, what? I see. Hold on just a moment. Let's pause the video. I apologize for the interruption, folks. It seems I made a horrible mistake. You see, Dr. Mwenzi has never been a huge fan of talking in public, but what he has done for us is, and if I may, Professor, make sure that I'm doing this right, you have given me this notebook here, yes, with all of your notes on it from your studies, and you would like me to read those, and we will tell the story together. All right, I think we'll do that, so let's begin. So based on the notes I have here and multiple historical documentations, the necktie can originally be traced back to Croatian mercenaries back in the 1630s. These mercenaries were initially known for their very fierce and destructive behavior under the command of Louis XIII of France. What they become known for instead is a long scarf that they used to wear all the way around their necks in different colors, ranging from coarse, rough-like material for the soldiers and smooth, silk-like materials for the officers. These wrapped scarves worn by these Croatian mercenaries soon became known as cravats, a corrupt French pronunciation of Croats or Croatians. While this wrap scarf served no particular purpose, much like the neckties we wear today, the Croatian mercenary style caught on very, very quickly with the people in the court of Louis XIII in Versailles, France. Again, much like today, a style that catches on in France and Versailles becomes a huge fashion phenomenon all the way throughout Europe. Pretty soon, everyone in Europe was wearing these Croatian mercenary-inspired wraparound scarves, cravats. By the early 1800s, the same time that European men were still suffering from the oppression of razor-sharp collars, Europeans started to have a cravat tying contest. Whereas today a simple Windsor, half Windsor may suffice for the common tie wearer, back in this time, cravat tying became an art form, sometimes requiring several servants to get you dressed in the morning. In fact, interestingly, during this time, cravat tying was such a time-consuming process that if a person was to untie a gentleman's cravat, it was considered a dueling offense. All right then, we deal at 3 paces. However, perhaps the most dandy of all gentlemen during this time was a man named Beau Brummel, who reportedly took 5 hours to dress himself, and was known to have the most ornately tied cravat in the entire European continent. Having not yet been given the gift of television or the ability to make instructional videos with your dog, people actually would line up outside of Brummel's house and pay to watch him get dressed in the morning. Which is why I've decided to model Brummel and extend to you viewers and blog readers the opportunity to come watch myself get dressed in the morning. If you're interested, please make an appointment by calling the below number. But back to the story at hand. After decades and in fact centuries of men abusing their heads through sharp collars and cravats wound way too tight to allow blood flow correctly to the brain, a man named King Charles II brings back the style to England.
My name is Charles II.
Known throughout history as the man who brought back partying, Charles II was extremely influential when it came to the latest and greatest fashions in Europe and it caught on very, very quickly in the hub of the European world there in London. Since then, the cravat has evolved into several different entities, such as the bow tie and the common necktie. Later in the 1920s, hand-painted ties will become extremely popular and could get up to 4 inches across. Luckily today, you don't need 5 hours to ensure your cravat is precisely tied the way you want it before you go off to work. Simple visit to the Mark of a Gentleman blog will show you how to tie the most 2 common knots, a Windsor and a half Windsor, that keep you looking very, very sharp in the modern world. And thus is the history of the necktie. Thankfully to Dr. Mwenzi, we have successfully debunked the theory that a tie was invented by a woman in order to keep control of her husband. And that does it for today's Style History from the Mark of the Gentleman blog. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. My thanks to Professor Mwenzi for coming along, and I ask you please just visit the Mark of the Gentleman blog anytime you like for stylish advice in video form and otherwise. Cheers.
That's life.
That's life.
That's what all the people say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May.